54 countries, Africa is a powerhouse in the world of natural resources and innovation. And despite the social and political issues the continent faces, there is no doubt that it's on track to see an abundance of opportunities to grow in the coming years. Here is a quick look at the richest countries in Africa by GDP in the year 2020.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.
Number 10. Tanzania, $62.2 billion. Tanzania supports a population of around 55 million people. Although the poverty rate has decreased in the last few years, the absolute number of citizens in poverty has remained the same. The estimated GDP growth rate was 5.6% for 2019 due to high government investment in a new railway line, the revival of Air Tanzania, and a new hydropower plant. Tanzania mainly exports gold, cashew nuts, coffee, and cotton. Tanzanian President John Magufuli's government has highly growth plans for Tanzania, including the expansion of their budget deficit in the next few years to support capital outlays for new developments. Number 9. Ghana, $68.3 billion. Ghana mainly exports resources such as cocoa, crude oil, gold, and timber. The country experienced an economic expansion of 6.7% in the first quarter of 2019, with non-oil growth at 6%. Inflation remains in the single digits at around 9%, and the banking sector is well capitalized. Ghana's energy sector remains under financial pressure due to high cost and natural gas supply. With an election cycle in the midst of an oil price war and COVID-19, 2020 will be a test of what growth will be seen in Ghana. Number 8. Ethiopia, $90.1 billion. Ethiopia's Prime Minister, Abiy Ahmed, who took office in 2018, has launched an ambitious economic reform which will aim to drive economic transformation and open up one of Africa's most closed economies. The process has already begun for the privatization of sectors such as telecommunications, banking, and sugar plantations. Ethiopia's economic growth has averaged 9% year-on-year from 2008 to 2018 and shows no signs of giving up. It does, however, suffer from strong headwinds of high consumer inflation and underdeveloped private sector. It will be a long and a difficult road, but if the government is able to provide good leadership and capital allocation, Ethiopia will become the new manufacturing hub in Africa. Number 7. Angola, $92 billion. From the end of the Angolan Civil War in 2002, Angola has been working on political and structural reforms in order to stabilize its economy. Number 6. Kenya, $99.3 billion. Kenya, one of the quickest growing economies in sub-Saharan Africa, averaged GDP growth of 5.7% in 2019. The recent economic expansion has been boosted by a stable microeconomic environment, positive investor confidence, and a resilient service sector. Although Kenya has experienced fast growth in both technology and financial services, Their total output still remains heavily skewed to agricultural produce, approximately 35% of its GDP, including coffee, tea, and corn. Its industrial sector still has room for growth, while its services sector ranges between 45 to 50% of the GDP. They benefit from increased international investment, a stable political climate, and a clear business agenda. Number 5. Morocco, $121.4 billion. Moroccan real GDP growth slowed to 2.7% in 2019, missing the World Bank estimate of 2.9%. Morocco derives just under 15% of its GDP from agriculture, 30% from the industry, and the remainder from services. Domestic demand remains strong with average salary increases outpacing the low inflation of 0.6%. Before mention of COVID-19, the World Bank estimated an average growth rate of 3.3% for year 2020 to 2021 due to increased investment in the Moroccan automotive industry. One such investment was made in the Peugeot plant, which hopes to double production capacity. Number 4. Algeria, $183.6 billion. Algeria is a country highly exposed to the performance of hydrocarbons, including oil and natural gas. In fact, hydrocarbons make up nearly 70% of the total GDP. However, in mid-2019, many high-ranking executives in the hydrocarbon industry were detained on investigations of corruption. This political uncertainty has slowed down hydrocarbon growth, with growth in the sector contracting by 7%. Petroleum and natural gases are the country's most important mineral resources, with the biggest exports being either mined or manufactured, while agriculture plays a comparatively minor role. However, examples of some of Algeria's principal farm crops that are exported are wheat, oats, citrus fruit, olives, and dates. Number 3. Egypt, $302.2 billion. The government of Egypt recently concluded an economic reform program backed by the IMF in order to bolster economic growth. Real GDP growth reached 5.6% in 2019, up from 5.3% in 2018. Unemployment has also fallen to 7.5% in the fourth quarter from 10% a year before. By sector, gas extractives, tourism, wholesale and retail trade, real estate and construction have been the main drivers of growth. With more than 50% of GDP being derived from service-based employment, Egypt has done well to diversify itself from raw material exports. However, with 30% of the population living below the poverty line and in the imminent global slowdown, Egypt could face some socio-economic headwinds in the years to come. Number 2. South Africa, $371.3 billion. South Africa holds on to the second spot in this list after a difficult second half of 2019. South Africa went into a recession after 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth. The main reason, among others, power outages from aging operations at its main power producer, Eskom. South Africa has diversified its offering over the past 2 decades away from mainly raw material exports such as gold, iron ore, and platinum group metals to financial services and manufacturing. Financial services, mining, and personal services were the only industries to post positive growth in the fourth quarter in 2019. With the entire global economy experiencing a slowdown and its main iron ore trade partner, China, having to close factories and slow construction, South Africa could face a difficult road ahead. COVID-19 will have a profound part to play in South African growth, not only suppressing industries such as tourism and travel, but also mining and personal services. Number 1. Nigeria. $446.5 billion. A key component of the African economy, Nigeria has a population amounting to half of West Africa, just over 200 million. With an abundance of natural resources, it remains Africa's number 1 producer in terms of GDP output. The country is Africa's largest crude oil exporter, recording production of about 1.6 million barrels a day in December of 2019. Petroleum exports account for 10% of GDP and exceeds 80% of export revenue. Apart from petroleum, Nigeria's other natural resources include natural gas, tin, iron ore, coal, limestone, niobium, lead, zinc, and arable land. Between 2000 and 2014, Nigeria grew its GDP year-on-year by 7%, one of the fastest rates in Africa. However, growth has since slowed to around 2% due to oil and production shocks, and with political instability in the region and a growing young and unemployed population, Nigeria is expected to grow slowly and living conditions to worsen.